Hey, what's up? This is Thomas Ian Nicholas. You might know me from the American Pie films. You probably don't know about my band yet, but you will, because you're listening to Morgan Richards on Radio Cardiff 98.7 FM, so don't turn the dial.
Hey, I'm Morgan Richards from Radio Cardiff from 98.7 FM, and I'm very pleased to say that I'm rejoined in the studio today by a man who's been extremely busy since the last time we caught up with him just a few short months ago. It's, of course, everyone's favourite actor and musician combo from the lovely Los Angeles. It's the wonderful Mr. Thomas Ian Nicholas.
Morgan, thanks for having me back on the show.
Well, thanks for coming back on.
Of course, man. I love it here in Cardiff, as I told you last time.
Yeah. So you okay?
Yeah, everything's good. I promised that I would be back when I was here last time for another tour, and I was able to do it. Luckily, because I'm busy back at home shooting a new TV show called Red Band Society. It's for Fox over there, but I would imagine since Steven Spielberg is executive producing it, it's safe to say that it'll premiere at some point on the Sky channel here in the UK. I don't know what that date is, but I will make my next promise and declaration that I will be back again in the UK for another tour in the spring.
Oh, awesome.
So you guys can't get rid of me. You know, I'm trying to make up for the fact that I didn't move here in '98. So I'm trying to come back around at least a couple times a year.
Oh, brilliant. So things have been good then?
Yeah, everything's been great. I'll be doing a pledge music campaign for the full length of the EP.
Oh, okay.
So that is what I'll have with me on the next go around. It doesn't sound the same with my American accent to say the go around, but the next time I'm here.
Okay. Oh, brilliant. So Tom, of course, since the last time we caught up back in April, we spoke in depth about your incredible 20-plus year career of acting and making music with your self-titled TNB Thomas Nicholas Band. Everything to do with that, with the recent release of your fifth major music release to date in the Security EP back earlier in the year. And really, since then, these last few months, you've continued to be an extremely busy man, as you've just mentioned, on both sides of your career, especially with the new EP gaining a lot of new reception in that time, leading you to come back for your second acoustic UK tour of this year.
Yeah, it's been a great year, and I think one of the things I forgot to mention about the TV show is I actually play a musician on the show. So the first time you meet me, I'm doing a cover song by The Fray. So I've actually released that cover version on iTunes. Of course, I don't think anyone here is searching for it because, again, the show hasn't premiered. But then I did sneak in on the second scene. They're like, "Hey, man, can you just play some chords?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." So when you do see it, if you've heard the single "Terrified," you may recognize the chord progression. And then what else has been going on? There's you see, the funny thing is, you guys don't know who the band Blues Traveler is here in the UK. I guess they never really crossed over. The early inception of Blues Traveler was Spin Doctors, and they, of course, did cross over and are known here in the UK, but Blues Traveler isn't. Anyway, it's pretty cool because John Popper's like the Jimi Hendrix of the harmonica, and I get to write a song with him that'll be out on their next album, but I guess that tour will only be in the States. And I think they've released a trailer for my Walt Disney picture, because I think I had already shot that last time I was here. So yeah, people are pretty excited about that one as well, from the old, watching Walt Disney in his early career fail and stuff. So if you do a search online, you can see that, and of course the music video for Terrified. Now I'm just babbling, just talking about all the things I've done. Yeah. And if we really get to talking about all the things I've done, the majority of my time is spent with my son, who's almost 3. So I try to get back. I'm actually going to Japan straight away from here, and I'm making sure that I stop off at home for a few days. I could just go straight there, but no, I got to see my kid. So.
Well, great to hear that you've been a very, very busy man over these last few months.
Yeah. How have things been going for you?
Well, very well, thank you.
Good.
And as you mentioned there, really, this year is being a very good one for yourself, especially here in the UK musically, where, as I've mentioned, you've just been back for your second headline tour of the year following that Acoustic Madness run you did surrounding the Hit the Deck Festival dates back in April, and every night seeing a great deal of people attending to the shows. Yeah,
we had a really good turnout, which I think is what gave us the ability to come back. Of course, this time we decided to work twice as hard, so we did 18 shows in 10 days, and in the evenings after we would finish the acoustic sets, I would go and play alternative DJ sets, similar to what I did earlier this year at Bunker for Team Up. And our plan actually is to come back with the full band in the spring and play Hit the Deck again, only this time they won't be able to have us on the acoustic stage.
Awesome, because back in that tour in April did so well, you were very excited to come back and do more shows, along with hosting those American frat parties up and down the country for Freshers Week as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did, and it was a good time, man. Again, I think I talked about this last last time, but we don't have DJ sets like that in the States. So, if I get hired over there to do a party like that, all I have to do is show up, say hi, have a drink, take some pictures, shake some hands, and that's it. So, it's been fun because I'm definitely not a DJ. I'm a human iPod, but I got compliments on the DJ set because I obviously didn't want to be terrible. So I spent a lot of time sort of learning what songs, were more known over here, especially with the younger kids, because we've got some crossover with that, especially in the indie rock world. But then there's some songs that, like I said, I wasn't going to bust out a Blues Traveler song that would fall dead on the dance floor.
And it's been great to see that you've managed to come here for tours a couple of times this year, because after your first reappearance back in 2012, it took you almost 2 years to get back.
Well, I don't know if you read the news or if you would put two and two together, but recently the promoter/booking guy that booked our first tour that ended up being a debacle is now in prison for 30 months. Oh. He tried to double-cross the VAT and a charity organization with a fake golf tournament for like £107,000. So he finally got his comeuppance. And that's the guy who left us stranded after the first day of tour.
Right.
And then we, got help from, some people here in Wales and, put a tour together back at the last minute. And that's how we ended up meeting the Mallory Knox guys and being in their video and all that stuff. And we already went through all that. So yeah, it did take a while to come back over because I had to sort of regroup and figure out a new game plan so that we did it right. And so far, it's working.
Oh, okay. So a bad experience has turned out for the better then in the end.
Yes, indeed. And the right people who deserved it went to prison.
Okay. Well, that's all we can say on that. And recently with this tour, I actually understand that you came into a little bit of transport problems with this, starting off where you missed your first flight over and Matt getting a flat on his rental car, then getting into all sorts of traffic over here, even much so that you almost were late for a show in Liverpool due to you being held up by a herd of cows. Yes,
that was also part of our transportation troubles, as well as me missing my flight and Matt's flat tire and the traffic. The traffic was also partly due to, the Sprinter van that we were meant to rent had an issue. So we unfortunately got upgraded to a sleeper bus with a driver. It was really terrible, and I don't recommend it. Living in the lap of luxury on tour is not for me. So we made sure we got rid of that bus at least 3 days in because we just, we couldn't take it anymore. But yes, there was a time in the sleeper bus where we were driving from Reading to Liverpool, and I woke up because we were stopped. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're here. I got out of the bunk, looked out the window, and we're in the middle of nowhere. There's 2 cars in front of us and 150 cows literally all over the road. Yeah, that was interesting. And then, of course, we got to the radio station, and then there was like sheep in the adjacent sort of field. I guess, I'm bummed that you guys don't have sheep in an adjacent field next to Radio Cardiff. It's
well, maybe for next time we'll get some down especially for you.
Perfect. I would appreciate that. I expect that in the spring. I expect it in the spring, Morgan.
We'll see what we can do. And the last time we spoke quite a bit about the brand new Security EP with it coming out earlier in the year, with it seeing you again work with Matt Kennedy, formerly of The Dangerous Summer, changing a slight direction, the sound of it being a bit more indie and alternative and everything to go along with that. But over these last few months, as I've mentioned, especially surrounding the recent tour, been getting a lot of incredible amount of even more support on top of the brand new single Terrified, who people just seem to love, especially on the show.
Yeah, it's been great because the last tour we had just released the album, but we weren't getting any radio play. And this time around, the single Terrified is spinning on the airwaves, and the music video that we released got premiered on Kerrang! Magazine, on the website, that is, which was pretty exciting for us. So, I feel like we're, after our third tour, we finally really have a foot solidly in the door, and that's why I think we're ready to bring the full band in the spring.
Great thing to hear. Now, Tom, as one of the things you've mentioned already, and one of the main things that you've been working on intensely over the last couple of months, and something you were quite excited about last time we spoke, is that you're starring in a brand new comedy drama TV series titled Red Band Society that's just been picked up for series on Fox TV, and as you said, is executively produced by Steven Spielberg. That actually sees you play a reoccurring role as Nick, incidentally a rock musician that volunteers at Children's Hospital.
Yeah, the show premiered about a month ago in the States, so I don't know when it's premiering here. This is going to sound really strange, but as I was driving here and we got caught in more traffic that made us about 2 hours late to this interview, I had a dream that it was going to premiere in April. I don't know why. I don't know what that means. It's probably not true, but I heard April 4th. I'm going to laugh if maybe I was like Googling in my sleep, and I'm right. I don't know. But yeah, so there's a bit of a twist to my character as well, but I don't want to give anything away because it's a really interesting twist, and it's in the very first premiere episode. But yeah, so far we're picked up for the first series, which means 13 episodes, and we're shooting it in Atlanta. So basically, right now I'm commuting from Los Angeles, California to Atlanta, Georgia in the States. It's, you talk about traffic, that's a 4.5-hour flight.
Right.
It's quite the commute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling it will come. I just don't know what the premiere date is. I'm sure that with all the advertisements that they did in the States, there will be enough of a heads up that it's coming over, because you couldn't go anywhere without seeing a billboard in any major city in the States. It was crazy. They had bus ads and billboards and television commercials. It was it's pretty cool because I feel like it's the first time I've been involved in something that has been pushed as hard as like the American Pie franchise. And so the show itself, if you're not familiar with it, well, I assume that you aren't because there hasn't been any ads over here. It's basically like The Breakfast Club meets terminally ill kids that live at a hospital. And while that sounds really sad and overly dramatic, it's lightened up by the fact that there's a 12-year-old kid in a coma who's narrating the entire show. So it has a little bit of levity to it, but it has a lot of heart. And it's actually based upon a series called Red Band Society that was in Spain, and then there was another one in Italy. So this is sort of the American version, the third time of this concept of these kids who are all going through different challenges, detail-wise, who are very different in their personalities that band together life of living at a hospital.
Yeah. And one of the main things I wanted to talk to you from the show is the fact that in that pilot episode, you actually did a cover of the phrase classic track "How to Save a Life," receiving some great response through that. They've actually released it now as a single on iTunes.
Yeah, well, I did that on my own because I'm still not signed to a label. I told the show, I was like, hey, what do you think about me doing this? They're like, yeah, let's put a pin in that. I'm like, right, I'm going to do it, and you can watch me. So, same sort of way that I've done everything musically is no one can stop me, no matter if they get involved or not. But yeah, so it's on iTunes. I've got it on my SoundCloud page. So the first 100 people or so get a free download of it because I don't have one of those pro accounts because I'm too cheap. Touring's expensive. Gotta save $5 a month. That's at least, a McDonald's meal.
And I have to say, because How to Save a Life is an extremely hard song to cover, having that real extensive piano sound and the massive track throughout the last few years. But you've really managed to make it your own and have a different spin on it with just the acoustics, but still have that passionate, emotional in it as well, especially on the chorus.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, when I first did the recording of it, I mean, obviously the choruses are very similar to how I've seen the Fray do it at acoustic sessions for radio shows, because I obviously watched those when I was learning how to play the song for the TV episode. And then I kind of approached the verses the same way, and I don't know, it didn't seem special. It just sounded like, well, okay, I'll be honest. My wife heard it and she's like, yeah, that sounds pretty generic. You should rethink that. So, and she's always right because she's got really much better musical taste than I do. The fact that she's a real DJ and she can, spin tracks that people don't know and still get the dance floor to react. It's mind-boggling because, when I'm doing these alternative DJ sets, I'm playing songs that everybody knows. So, anyway, I digress. So I thought I would sort of add the indie element to the verses, and I kind of came up with a new chord progression, which isn't really in the piano line, but it's the same chords. I just kind of changed it, but thank you for noticing. Yeah. I wasn't sure if anyone would because it's very subtle, but I'm into the indie rock thing, so I just tried to make it a little bit more indie rock.
And we mentioned that on the show is actually executive produced by the incredible Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I think he's going to go places. He's got a promising career ahead of him.
It must be a great thing to you to be able to work with him because you actually produce a lot of films yourself.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible. I mean, obviously I've seen, like anyone, I've seen all of his work. I like all of his work. Well, everything except for like a couple films here and there. Sorry, no one's perfect. And then of course there's Octavia Spencer, who plays the head nurse on the show, and she is an Oscar winner from a movie called The Help. So that's really cool to be in scenes with her. Yeah, I mean it's just such a great opportunity.
And obviously continuing with your film career now, as you've mentioned earlier on, that last time you came in, you just recently shot for your next film, which will be What Without Mickey. Yeah. That's due to be released towards the end of the year.
They are saying towards the end of the year. I am seeing it more as the beginning of next. That's just my my premonition. The film is still in post-production. They're pretty much done with the cut of it. They're just finishing up a last, few bells and whistles, color correction, ADR, film composition. So yeah, I see it more as coming out next year, but it's coming along well. I've seen some of the rough cuts, and you can check out the trailer online, which everyone seems to be really excited about once they see the trailer. And then the other film that I'm finishing up is called The Lost Tree with Michael Madsen and Lacey Chabert, one that I produced and starred in, and we're almost done with that one as well. It's been a long road. We took a break to film another movie that we produced, so that one will hopefully be coming out at the beginning of next year as well.
Oh, awesome. We're looking forward to seeing the next couple of films you're going to be working on then.
Thank you so much, Morgan.
Yeah, no worries. And just a couple more things, Tom. Now, before you go, of course, you've mentioned that you guys are going to come back again next year for yet another tour, but this time with the full band.
Yeah, our plan, if they'll have us, is to play Hit the Deck again, and then run off doing a tour after that, and probably throwing in some late night DJ sets as well.
Okay.
So I don't really know how long the tour will be going, maybe a week or something like that, or another 10 days. That seems to be sort of our magic number, is a 10-date tour. But none of that is confirmed yet, so I'm definitely speaking out of line, and hopefully Amy's not listening and deciding to say, really, you've decided you're playing before I've said yes. And Amy's the one that runs Hit the Deck Festival. But she did say that she dug our set, even though I nearly took her friend's head off with a CD Frisbee. I don't know if I told you that story. At the beginning of the acoustic set in the spring at the Hit the Deck, I had decided it would be a good idea to throw some CDs out. And at the beginning of the set, people were a little bit farther away, and they had moved up closer by the end. So I was just trying to reach them. So I just kind of chucked a few CDs out as Frisbees. Let me tell you something. CDs can be a little bit dangerous because Frisbees are round and CD cases are square. I think I hit essentially the promoter's friend, and she told me about it afterwards, and I was like mortified. And she's like, "Oh, that's all right. I bent down and picked it up and put it in my bag. Their loss, my gain."
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, but that is our plan. So I will definitely keep you posted on that, and hopefully we'll have time to come say hello again.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you back in for a third time.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome. And again, now with the fact that you're going to be taking the full band, hopefully, back to the UK beginning of next year, do you have any more plans to maybe write and record even more new material? Or?
Oh, yeah. We are going to do the full-length version of the Security EP.
Okay.
So we've got 6 more songs. Essentially, they're already written. We just have to get into the studio and record them. So I'm going to do a Pledge Music campaign to raise the funds to do that. A pre-sale campaign, as it were, so that we will have that release by the time we get back over here.
Okay, brilliant. So we can expect even more new music from you
Indeed.
in the new year.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. And is that going to be following the same kind of indie alternative?
Yeah, the other 6 songs, were written during that same, when I did the writing session with Caleb Turman from Forever the Sickest Kids. We wrote the album. It's just that I picked the top 4 songs.
Okay.
Although, you never know. The other 6, the album cuts, you never know which one's going to kind of pop up as another single, because there's always sort of the demo, and then when you get the band in there, things morph a little bit, and, I don't know. I mean, each sort of area picks a different single. In the States, there's a radio station in the Midwest where we tour a lot, and they seem to have picked track 4 as the single. I thought Security would be the single, and then the UK decided it was track 3, Terrified. So what do I know? I just am happy I get to do what I love.
Well, brilliant. Well, very much looking forward to hearing those other 6 tracks for that Pledge Campaign album.
Right on.
Well, that's about it. Cheers again, Tom, for coming back into the studio for a catch-up.
Morgan, thank you so much for having me, man.
No problem. Obviously, good luck now with hopefully organising that tour for the beginning of next year. And
oh, it's done. I mean, it's not confirmed, but it's done. I'll be here. You can't keep me away.
Okay, brilliant. And hopefully we can get you back in for yet another chat very soon.
Perfect. Thanks,
Cheers.
man.